third canto, fifth chapter text. What? Mandalu Chapad Bhagavan Raja Samyamaha Namaha Ratuhu Kshetre Vishayam Jataha Satyavati Sutat Mandavya Shapad Bhagavan Raja Samyamano Yamaha Ratu Kshetre Bhujishiyayam Ratu Kshetre Bhujishayam Chata Satyavati Sutat Mandavya Shapad Bhagavan Prajasam Yamano Yamaha Ratu Kshetre Bhujishayam Chata Satyavati Sutat Mandavya Shapad Bhagavan Prajasam Yamano Yamaha Ratu Kshetre Bhujishayam Chata Satyavati Sutat
Mandavya Shapat Bhagavan Raja Sangyamano Yamaha Ratu Chetre Bujishayang Jata Satyavati Sutat
Mandavya Shapad Bhagavan Rajasamya Mano Yamaha Bratu Kshetre Budushayam Chata Satyavati Sutat
Mandavya Shapad Bhagavan Rajasam Yamano Yamaha Ratu Kshetre Vajishayam Jata Satyavati Sudat
Mandavya Shapad Bhagavan Rajasam Yamano Yamaha Ratu Kshetre Bajishyayam Jata Satyavati Sutat
Mandavya Shapad Bhagavan Rajasam Yamano Yamaha Ratu Chetre Bujishyayam Chata Satyavati Sutat
Mandavya Supad Bhagavan Raja Sammano Yamaha Ratahu Shastre Bujisayam Jata Satyavati Stutat Sutat
Mandavya Shapad Bhagavan Prajasamya Mano Yamaha Ratu Kshetre Bhujishyayam Chate Shataviti Sutat
Mandavya Shapat Bhagavan Braja Sangyamano Yamaha Bratu Chetre Bujishyayam Jata Satyavati Sutat
Mandavaya Shapag Bhagavan Raja Shamyamano Yama Ratu Shikte Buddhishyayam Jata Savayati Shrutat Mandavya Sapat Bhagavan Raja Samyaman Yamano Yamaha Bratu Kshetre Vijishyayam Jata Satyavati Sutat
Mandavya, the great Rishi Mandavya Muni, Shapat, by his curse, Bhagavan, the greatly powerful, Praja, one who is born, Samyamanaha, controller of death, Yamaha, known as Yamaraj, Ratu, of the brother, Kshetre, in the wife, Bhujishchayam, kept, Jataha, born, Satyavati, the mother of both Vichitravirya and Vyasa. Sutat, by the son, Vyasadeva. I know that you are now Vidura, due to the cursing of Mandavya Muni, and that formerly you were King Yamaraj, the great controller of living entities after their death. You were begotten by the son of Satyavati, Vyasadeva, and the kept wife of his brother.
Mandavya Muni was a great sage, Bhagavatam 113.1, and Vidura was formerly the controller Yamaraj, who takes charge of the living entities after death. Birth, maintenance, and death are three conditional states of the living entities who are within the material world. As the appointed controller of death, Yamaraj once tried Mandavya Muni for his childhood profligacy and ordered him to be pierced with a lance. Mandavya, being angry at Yamaraj,
Is that a word? Maybe you could look that word up. I never heard that word before. Profligacy, see it? That's a word. religious. That's it. Read it again.
Use of resources.
Reckless extravagance or wastefulness in the use of resources.
Okay. Or it says
Licentious or dissolute behavior.
Oh. Okay. So Yamaraj once tried Mandavi Muni for his childhood of literacy and ordered him to be pierced with a lance. Okay. So here that would mean Yamaraj's, no, it would mean that Yamaraj, tried Mandavi Muni. He found him guilty of doing some crime when he was a child. Childhood profligacy is extravagance. And ordered him to be pierced with a lance. Okay. Mandavya,
Mandavya, being angry at Yamaraj for awarding him undue punishment, cursed him to become a Shudra, member of the less intelligent laborer class. Thus Yamaraj took birth in the womb of the kept wife of Vichitravirya, from the semen of Vichitravirya's brother, Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is the son of Satyavati by the great sage Parashara, and Vichitravirya is the son of the same Satyavati by the great king Shantanu, the father of Bhishmadev. This mysterious history of Vidura was known to Maitreya Muni because he happened to be a contemporary friend of Vyasadev's. In spite of Vidura's birth from the womb of a kept wife, because he had otherwise high parentage and great connection, he inherited the highest talent of becoming a great devotee of the Lord. To take birth in such a great family is understood to be an advantage for attaining devotional life. Vidura was given this chance due to his previous greatness.
his previous greatness means Vidura was Yamaraj in his previous life. Nobody curses Yamaraj. Who curses Yamaraj? If you try to curse Yamaraj, you're in trouble. He is the superintendent of death. When he comes around, everyone's afraid. But Mandavi Muni, Yamaraj was playing the part of a Kshatriya. That's the demigods, such as Yamaraj, Indra. They're demigods. They're Kshatriyas. And they use force. Mandavi Muni, not a Kshatriya, he's a Brahmana. And he thought, the idea was, when he was a little boy, he summoned Yamaraj, either summoned him or someone other spoke to him. And Mandavi Muni said, why am I, thing was, here's what happened. There was some criminals. And the king's soldiers, he arrested the criminals, and it so happened that he also arrested Mandavi Muni, who was there. They thought that he was just putting on a show, pretending to be a sage, when actually he was one of the thieves. because the thieves had hidden in his hermitage. So he was found guilty then when he was tried, along with the criminals. And so he was ordered to receive death by the lance up the rectal hole. Oh, horrible thing. So it happened. They did it. They gave him that punishment. They didn't die because he was a sage. They couldn't kill him. And when he didn't die, they went back and told the king, Yamaraj, what had happened. No, they went and told the king, the king, and he came and apologized to Mandavi. Yeah, I didn't know. Please forgive us. So Mandavi was willing to forgive them, but then he went to Yamaraj. Hey, Yamaraj, what did I do? What was my crime? I don't remember committing any sinful activities in this lifetime. What was my crime? That I got such a horrible punishment to be pierced with a lance for something I didn't even do. So, Yamaraj said, in your previous life, when you were a little boy, you were playing with a spider, some kind of little insect, and you took a piece of stem of a tree or something and pierced it. As children do. Children are prone to do things like that without thinking that they're hurting anyone. So sure enough, Yamaraj said, you did that when you were young. That's certified true. And Mandavi said, but Yamaraj, that's not fair. A young child, he doesn't know what's right or wrong. He can't be given the full penalty like that for such an innocent act. Yeah, that was a terrible mistake you made, terrible injustice. And I'm going to curse you to be a Shudra because only a Shudra would enforce a law like that. And sure enough, Yamaraj had to make arrangements for someone else to take over while he had to spend time on Earth. Not so long, 125 years, but still a period of time. So that's the secret. Amazing. Maitreya Muni knew this secret. And Vidura also knew, because he was Yamaraj. He knows all these things. So Vidura is not an ordinary person. He's so great that he became the prime minister of Dhritarashtra. He couldn't become the king because his birth was not by a queen. She wasn't a princess or a queen. She was just a maidservant. So it's just a maid for the royal family, but she's not from royal family herself. That's a long story. How she got to become the mother of Vidura. The family of King Shantanu, that was the royal family, the Kuru dynasty. But Shantanu, he was killed, but he had sons already. He had sons, by Satyavati. Satyavati was the daughter of a fisherman, but actually she was not exactly a daughter of it. She was in that life, but previous to that, she was a very exalted goddess in the heavenly planets. So she attracted the mind of Shantanu. No one was as beautiful as Satyavati. So he wanted to marry her. But her father wouldn't agree unless her son was given the position of the next king after Shantanu. Now, Shantanu, he couldn't agree to that because he had another son, Bhishmadev. We heard this the other day. Bhishmadev, who was actually the son of Ganga and Shantanu. So anyway, the fisherman, he held out until finally Bhishmadev himself came, and on behalf of his father, he said, I'll not take any wife, I'll not have any sex, I'll not have any children, I'll have no throne, nothing. I'll just protect your daughter's sons. Don't worry, I give my word, Bhishma. That awesome vow he took. So, long story. Anyway, what else can carry on? Someone like to make some comment?
Any comments or questions? Is that okay? Yeah.
So I was wondering if we could look up what happened to Mandavya Muni after he cursed Yamaraj, because Yamaraj is a great Vaishnava. And yeah, let's look. I think it's interesting to look up. Interesting enough. Okay.
Oh yeah. It's okay. Another name for Yamaraj is he's also called Dharmaraj because he upholds Dharma, religious principles, and he executes the punishments and the rewards for those living entities who commit impious activities and pious activities respectively. So he gives severe punishments for those living entities who don't actually follow the principles of Dharma. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says of punishments, he's the rod of chastisement, or the scepter of Yamaraj. And Yamaraj has an abode. He's got a celestial abode in the heavenly planets with the other demigods, Indra and Agni and Varuna, and all those primary demigods. And we hear about his celestial abode in Mahabharata. It's kind of cool to hear about. Narada Muni and Yudhisthira Maharaj are having this conversation, and Yudhisthira Maharaj is asking Narada Muni, who's been all over the universe, about the different celestial abodes of the demigods. And descriptions are pretty cool. So he's in charge of sending the living entities after they depart where they're going to go next. So the hellish planets, or the heavenly planets, or wherever they're going to go. And we hear all about that, hellish planets in the Bhagavatam, in the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam as well. All these descriptions are given. It's quite wonderful. As well as the locations in the hellish planets and the reasons for going there are all given by Shukadeva Goswami. And they're not very nice. They're pretty horrible and ghastly. But it's temporary, so we have a different conception of hell. Did you find anything about that? No? Okay.
I don't know anything about Mandavya Muni, but I was thinking that also in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna to declare boldly that my devotees are never vanquished. So the punishment for devotees is a little different than for those who are not following the spiritual path or trying to take shelter of Krishna, God. The devotees, they see this punishment that maybe a non-devotee would see as the mercy, tate nukampam shishamikshamaну bunjave etma kuta vipakam hridvag vapur vividham naste jiveta yomuti pare sadayabak. So the devotee, he sees, the mercy as, he sees a so-called punishment as the mercy of the Lord. And by doing that, liberation becomes his rightful claim. Although we also hear from Bilvamangala Thakur that liberation waits at the doorstep of the devotee. So the devotee's not really interested in liberation. They're more interested in devotional service and serving Krishna, which is the means and the ends of bhakti. So that's kind of a little... And then, Mandavya Muni, he cursed Yamaraj. Yamaraj is a great devotee of Krishna. But we can see in the Bhagavatam that, great devotees, they don't necessarily handle things like that. We can think of Chitraketu, King Chitraketu. So he was flying in his airplane and he noticed that Lord Shiva and Parvati were quote unquote enjoying, and he was kind of scoffing at that or laughed at that, and Parvati saw that and cursed him out of her anger for that. But how Chitraketu reacted was he came and offered his obeisances to Lord Shiva and Parvati and accepted that punishment, even though he could have not suffered that punishment. He decided to accept it, and that was part of his devotional service. So there's different ways that devotees react to these reversals compared to non-devotees. Yeah, and that's a practice in itself too, learning how to react in adverse situations.
Yeah, on his behalf. Maharaj was saying that these curses that take place, sometimes they're not actually curses, sometimes they're benedictions, because it's ultimately for that person's highest good. So we can look at Yamaraj coming down to the life of Vidura, and who did he associate with? Very important personalities, Lord Krishna himself. you know, and he played such an important role in saving the Pandavas. So yeah, that's pretty much the extent of it. But it's not always a curse. You know, in this case, it was actually really auspicious.
It's not. Is it okay if I ask a question? Not really about like the storyline, but kind of like about death and suffering and pain and hell and like consequences. And so like, why is it that we need to go through some sort of punishment or like pain or suffering when we're dealing with this omnipotent person who has the power to change anything at their own will? So why is it that a soul or a person who's a soul needs to go through physical pain or whatever, hell, burning hell, torment, whatever? Why is that necessary? I mean, if we're dealing with a God who's so powerful that he can change anything, everything at once, why then does the soul need to go through suffering? Why can't God just say, okay, well, this person's making a mistake, so let's change it. Let's make this person anew and another way. I don't know. I'm not a God, but I don't know. Like it just seems unnecessary. It seems like that would be like I have no idea what to think of. It seems unnecessary to go through it. So.
Nice question. Yeah, the soul doesn't go through suffering. The soul doesn't go through pain. You know. Krishna says, "Ashocha nama ashocha swam pragyavadang sabhasase gatasuna gatasuscha nanu shoshanti pandita." But the wise man neither laments for the living nor for the dead. You know. So what is a wise man? The wise man is somebody who's self-realized. Krishna says that, you know, in many different places he uses that like. He talks about somebody who's wise, somebody who's learned, like a pandita, like Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmani Gavi Hastini. We read that verse the other day. Shuni Chaiva Subhagate Pandita Samadarshana. Somebody, the wise and learned, the learned gentle Brahmana by virtue, or what's what has to start? The learned person, whatever. The learned person, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision, Brahmana, so on and so forth. Cow. So somebody who's educated, somebody who's learned, somebody who's spiritually realized will see that actually there are really no problems. You know, there's really no suffering that's taking place on the highest level. But the conditioned living entity, because he's identifying with his body and his mind, which are material, and those things are subject to change, be it, you know, getting your body gets cut, you know, or something happens to your mind, a traumatic experience, and those things are real. Those are real things that are happening to your mind and your body, which are also both real. But due to one's identification with those things, to that degree, he'll experience those things as being, you know, real. So it's like, yeah, therefore you see the devotees, they handle things differently. Srila Prabhupada handled things differently. You know, problems aren't really problems. Maharaj said to me one time that with transcendental knowledge, you can disarm all problems in life. You know, so that's really nice. Yeah. As we're just about out of time, anyone have any last things?
I have a question about, so I understand that Yamaraj is a title and a position, and that whatever the Muni, I'm sorry, Manavati Muni held that position formerly. So I guess my question is two parts, and maybe the answer is unknown at present. But do we know if the Yamaraj, who is the role of Yamaraj at that time, if there's a story of the personality after the fact of what became of him, and then also, do we know when that was? Is this the same Yamaraj that exists at present time, or has the position been taken once again?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that question, but maybe Maharaj might. So Yeah, that's a good question. I'm sure it's given somewhere. Like in the Bhagavatam, it's given the different descriptions of the different manus. What's the current one? What's the previous one? All the other ones. So I'm sure something like that might be there. So it's a good question. All right. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.